Hi and welcome everyone. This is Lavender Sky Panther. Today is Monday, January 24th, 2022, and the topic for the day is called Cosmic by Nature. It's a collection of images and sky observations happening January 7th through the 10th, 2022, and this is show number 143. But before we get going anywhere, I just want to have you look at this apple, and could anybody please tell me, for the love of God, what's wrong with this picture? I'll go ahead and tell you. Why the heck do we have barcodes and stickers on all of our fruits and vegetables? It's just got to stop. We can do better as a people. I mean, how much can you disrespect something so beautiful and organic that nature is providing than to do this? So, enough. That's my little speech for the day. All right. So, anyway, here's an alternate cover slide. I'm providing two that's more, the sky observations field of things, in case you like that better. See which, cover you like the best. All right, so before we really jump into the show, normally I do the greetings from around the world and do my words, wisdom, and spirit of the day pages. This is one of them. I just didn't have room for the title this time. There'll be a second page as well with a different topic. We'll get to that in a minute. So my intent here is there's so much to cover on this topic I'm heading into, but I feel it's important just to drop some little like buzzwords and some little phrases and things that might really get you interested in investigating this whole other inner world on your own, because it's when you do that digging, pun really intended, digging to the core of the matter here, that's when you really do the big discoveries and the big aha moments, and you find what's really relevant to you, not just what I'm like hashing out to you. And so I invite you to do this. So this is going to be a really quick fly over this topic. It really is an amazing topic I would love to spend hours on, but I'm just going to drop you some little nuggets and see where they take you. Okay, so I want to just say it is time to question things. We are in the, we are awakening, and we're kicking the veil of deception, everything's shrouded to the curb. We want to know the truth, and this is the time where a lot of remembrances are going to come to us, things that you'll never find in a book that's just going to come into your mind, even in a dream state or something. You're going to get to the truths of some things that way far better than any other means. And so it's time to question things like, Star Wars did in 1977. That was the launch of a little bit of predictive programming there, where you have Yoda saying you must unlearn what you have learned, and that's exactly where we are. You've got to ditch what someone else has taught you. First, also examine who was doing the teaching in reality, who was behind it all. Hint, it was a pretty dark force. But we are in the middle of a spiritual war, and, the epic battle between the light, the true light, the loving light, and the dark. And so now it's time to get to the light and, and uncover everything that's kind of been hidden from us. And there's a lot that's been hidden in plain sight when we look at one little simple thing, the apple. So I'm going to stick to my little lines here and not off-road it too much, but I just want to say, yes, it's time to question things. What do you think? But more importantly, what do you know? The inner knowing, the knowing with a capital K. And we're going to touch on toroid, the concept of toroid magnetic field. So looking at the vertical cut section of an apple slice, look down here, okay, my cursor is, is it just a coincidence? I want to look at that with first of all, question the definition of gravity and how it works relative to Earth. And is it just a coincidence with the apple in the Garden of Eden that the apple is at the core of that story? Again, pun intended. And that Mac computers have the bite out of it especially. You got to pay attention to that part. They're all over the planet. When you see laptop lids flipped up, you see that, right? Everywhere you look. And then you've got, on the phones obviously, then you've got Newton's apple just hit him on the head supposed story, and then he figured out gravity. Yeah, okay, what is it all about with the apple? Now, if we look at energy fields and what gravity is, if you accept that there's a hollow earth, inner earth, Agharta, Shambhala, that's where we're going with this. Let's just stop for a moment and believe that there's an inner earth. Now, I, for one, did not as of maybe 10 years ago, but now I surely do, because a lot of arrows have been pointing that way, and there have been, again, supernatural things coming in through dreams and, bits and pieces from other people that have absolutely confirmed for me that, yes, we do have a hollow earth, we do have another world within our world, and that there is its own light source, there's water and land masses. It's pretty extraordinary. So if you're not there yet in that belief, or you may never be, who knows, that's fine. But, just for a moment, suspend what you think you know and go that there is a hollow earth. If that's the case, okay, we're going to I'm going to jump to some quotes by an excellent book. If this is all new concept to you, it's called The Smoky God, or A Voyage to the Inner World. It's a story by Olaf Jansen, recorded by Willis George Emerson from 1921. And it's a story about a young boy and his dad who just kind of accidentally came upon inner Earth. I don't want to really spoil too much. That's all I'll say for now. And I'm going to read a couple of excerpts later just about his notions on what gravity really is, and also what kind of a light source was in on the inner Earth in his journey, in his account, of experiencing it. And so, anyway, we'll come up on that in a second. But for right now, we'll just go with it. Yes, there is an inner Earth. Look at the most ancient cultures. We've got the Tibetans, like under Tibet and the Himalayas is supposedly where you get into Shambhala, the whole inner world, a peaceful world. Besides all of that, I just want to take a step back. So if humankind can only reportedly drill down to a depth of just over 7.5 miles into the Earth's crust, no one can say with any credibility that there is some kind of lodestone core. The iron core mantle crust theory, which I will call a deliberate untruth, never sat right with me, even as a small child. Does it sit right with you? Really think about it. Really feel about it. What does your inner knowing, your heart, say about inner Earth? Now, again, let's just consider that the core is a world of its own with its own light source. Okay? And then that's not so far-fetched when you look at the direct accounts of Rear Admiral Richard E. Byrd's North and South Pole expeditions, the diary attributed to him, and the Operation High Jump with its hasty retreat at Antarctica, which you can find some footage from released by someone in Russia of a battle happening there with UFOs, and you see evidence of that. And there's so much to this topic. If you look at the Nazis, they were so desperate to also go to Tibet and find entrances to get to Shambhala. I believe they succeeded, although I don't think they went to Shambhala. I think they went to somewhere else in Antarctica. And there's a whole host of documentation that supports that from the Third Reich, a lot of the Nazis fled and found their way through underwater tunnels into Antarctica. And so anyway, there's a lot to explore there, but I'm going to leave it there for now. Now I'm going to read these excerpts, and I'll touch a little bit on the pictures below, and then we'll keep moving on into the show. So here's excerpt from Part 6, Conclusion of the Smoky God. Okay? I am well acquainted with the accepted definitions of gravity, as well as the cause of the magnetic needle's attraction, and I am prepared to say that it is my firm belief that the magnetic needle is influenced solely by electric currents, which completely envelop the Earth like a garment, and that these electric currents in an endless circuit pass out of the southern end of the Earth's cylindrical opening, diffusing and spreading themselves over all the outside surface, and rushing madly on in their course toward the North Pole. And while these currents seemingly dash off into space at the Earth's curved edge, yet they drop again into the inside surface and continue their way southward along the inside of the Earth's crust toward the opening of the so-called South Pole. Then, it goes on later to describe in the book the gyration of the Earth and its daily act of whirling around in its spiral rotation at a rate greater than 1,000 miles every hour, or about 17 miles per second, makes of it a vast electrogeneration body, a huge machine, a mighty prototype of the puny man-made dynamo, which, at best, is but a feeble imitation of nature's original. Okay, all that to say, if you look down here again at our apple example, apple slice, consider this toroidal field around it, okay, this toroid as the surface of the Earth. So now, after really studying a lot of this stuff in more detail over the last decade, I am convinced that we have more of a toroid shape like this. That's really what the Earth is, with openings at the North and South Pole. Absolutely. So what he's talking about in this example of the currents is that, somehow the currents, go up, up through the South Pole and the North and come back around in a loop, and that the energetic field, kind of hugs, the outside of the Earth, which I absolutely believe that's very plausible. There's also other better diagrams that show that shows the electromagnetic, fields kind of coming out like this and coming up through the core. To me, that makes absolute sense. Now, the accounts happening in the Smoky God, or Voyage to the Inner World, a lot of truth. I found that there's a lot of truth in there. At least a lot was clicking with me all over the place that could absolutely be and absolutely make sense. It makes sense when you read this account and start to put things together. Now down here we have different maps of the inner Earth from different sources and different centuries. And if you go further back, 1600s and so, there are, lots of people who to do document and say, yes, there is an inner Earth to the extent that they can actually map it out. I find it very curious that at the very center of this, it reminds me of the human heart, where we've got four chambers, the atrium and the ventricles. But anyway, the concept is that there is a thick crust. I forget if in the story here, if he said 300 or 600 miles deep. And then the rest is open. And there is water, there are land masses, there are all kinds of long-lost, forgotten animals. But again, I don't want to kind of spoil the book too much, so I'll stop right now. Now, off to the left here is supposedly captured by Russian astronauts or cosmonauts, one of the poles, I think the North Pole, showing that there is this depression and that there is an energy flow, down in there or up through there, actually. So if you were like in a tiny ship, you probably wouldn't perceive all of this going on, but, I think that's just depicting energy source. That's not like magma or lava or anything. That's just showing some kind of light. Anyway, I've given you enough to kind of ponder and wander around in. But I also actually need to finish off with really two short little passages about the light source in the hollow earth according to the account in the Smoky God. So here we go. It could hardly be said to resemble the sun except in its circular shape, and when not obscured by clouds or the ocean mists, it had a hazy red bronzed appearance, which would change to a white light, like a luminous cloud, as if reflecting some greater light beyond. And then a little later he says, we finally agreed in our discussion of this smoky furnace-colored sun that whatever the cause of the phenomenon, it was not a reflection of our sun, but a planet of some sort, a reality. All right, so I hope all of that piques your interest. It does mine. I actually want to reread that book. I read it about 3 years ago. All right, have fun with that. Now, if you came to this channel and you like the idea of a card reading, I'm no expert, but I just dabble, so I'm going to throw this out there for you because I know how important it is that sometimes just one key word or a number can really help guide you in your day or wherever you're at right now in life, especially if you're having a tough time, which I think a lot of us are. Anyway, I was like, I don't know if I want to include a card reading on this show, but then guess what happened? I pulled card number 1 over here on the left, and it had all these apples in it, and I already had the cover for the show set with the apples, so I'm like, okay, you don't need to tell me twice, we'll do it. We're going to include this. So I'm just going to make this like really fast, because I actually, unfortunately, have a very short time to get this recorded. All right, so what I'm doing is just a past, present, and future spread, and I'm going to say this is a very recent past one. So the first card is Spirit Guardian of Summer, expansion, number 37. Then we have Guardians of the Land, protection, number 21 for present. And then we have Eagle Spirit, freedom, number 13 for the future. Okay, so I just listed here, I'm going to read it verbatim, just whatever came to my mind when I pulled the cards. Also, as a little friendly reminder, numerology is very important, I feel. And if you want to know the positive aspects of each of these numbers, hold on 1 second. Okay, I'm back. If you want to know the positive aspects of these numbers, I highly recommend you go look at Angel Numbers, Joanne Sacred Scribes. That's all you have to put in on an internet search. You can put in Joanne Sacred Scribes or Angel Numbers Joanne, and usually it pops up. It's an Australian blog or a site for finding the positive aspects of not only these numbers, but any number you can think of. So if you're getting repeated numbers coming on your radar, like 1111, 111, 222, 555, whatever it is, it could be just something crazy. I'll just say 568. That just came out of nowhere. All you do is type that in, and then, she gives, wonderful descriptions of what's going on there. So I highly recommend you do that. I'm not going to cover each of the numbers, on this show. All right, so Spirit Guardian of Summer, expansion. So I just got, like abundance. We see abundance of these apples here. Standing out and sounding out your voice across the skies with conviction. Poised to take flight, eager to fly. So now's the time to just really, stand up, speak your truth. I don't know about you, but I'm done with the whole ridiculous virus in quotes narrative that has kept people in absolute fear and separation for far too long. I think it's time to really kick that one to the curb and move on with life. And so that means just, get out of the nest, stop hiding in the tree in the shadows, and, be in your full glory, sing it out loud and proud, whatever's on your mind, however you wish, and just be out and about. Okay, now the middle one is stay grounded no matter the colorful illusions that might tempt you. Let the earth protect you as you do your body temple, your mind room, your heart space, your life force, your spirit. So we have this majestic, I don't know if it's an elk or a buck or what it is, but standing there firm, almost like a solid tree, like a redwood, you know? And it doesn't even see this over here. It's not even a temptation. This is the Fliegenpilz in German, which means flying mushroom. So this is the illusion, the illusory stuff is just now, behind, like out of view. What matters is staying anchored in with Earth, with Gaia, and in with the light above, the illumination of truth and the reality of things. And so that's where we need to be right now, is reconnecting with who we are and stand firm in that. So, and not listen or look at or fly away with any of these other illusions that are just leading us down, a darker path. So then we get to eagle spirit and freedom. And I say here, ground in with the quote-unquote mythical, get used to it, soar with the magical. Take a keener look to the stars. You can touch them if you try. They can touch you if you let them. Let them speak to you and reveal many things. So even if you are, let's say, really into the Bible, I am not, because I know how easily words can be manipulated and used in, let's say, not ideal ways, and especially over time, and especially if you have somebody with a controlling agenda behind that Bible. But anyway, that's not to say there aren't truths packed within there. There are. But even there in Revelations or somewhere around there, they say that there's going to be a time, at the end of days, and again, I don't support that at all. I support that, yes, there's going to be a shifting in days and shifting in time, but nothing we can't handle, nothing that we're not equipped to handle. But in that time, they talk about, oh, you're going to see some like demons and crazy beasts and things like that. I think that part could be true because, the veil, they say, is lifting between the 3D and the 4D astral. And on the 4D astral, you have anything from demons to angels. You got everything mixed in that realm. And so as the veil is thinning, it wouldn't surprise me. Like even the Bible, I think they say there's going to be a return of the mythical beasts or things that were once thought not true. And, so here that's the representation here of Pegasus, the winged horse. But the interesting thing is that the eagle, is the master with a very keen eye, can see down to the minutest detail on a leaf, and up into the heavens. And so this is where we're going to be, flying. What do I want to say? Just again, this represents the more kind of reality, earth-based version, but something that is equally majestic to the mythical version. Anyway, where do you want to fly? Where do you want to roam? You can connect up with the stars in the heavens. You can connect in the earth. I think, the master is the one that can balance the both, and being between worlds, but mastering all of it. And so I wish you tremendous luck on your journey, even if it's not mastery, just finding the balance and whatever is to come. All right, that's not really what I wanted to say with all of this, but I hope it'll do. I hope something clicked for you in there. All right, now we are going to get to the sky observations portion of the show. I'm going to have to do a lightning round here. Really no pun intended, and actually no lightning covered on the show, just because I've kind of run out of time to record. But that being said, a huge heartfelt thanks and welcome to all of you. Thank you for being here. And if you're new, I'm going to have to leave you to look at some previous shows to see what I'm doing here and why I'm doing it. Usually I put a more extensive intro on those things, but today I got to cut that out. So let's just jump into it. So I'm looking up at the skies in Miami and noticing and documenting the anomalies and high strangeness and other things you just can't explain. Anyhow, the quick version on this one is looking out to the southwest. Look at this, it's kind of fuzzy, it's weird. These aren't even real cloud formations. These are some kind of artificial stuff. And when I say cloud in quotes, I'm talking about this is like plasma cloaking things. So plasma is my go-to, meaning something heavier and denser than water vapor that sticks around in the atmosphere forever, can cling to stuff and cloak it very well. And so looking at the enhanced version, look at this, straight line, point. This looks like a rocket with even like a split tail behind it. Really strange, right? And then here is like some weird cylindrical form. There might be like a spherical form in between these two things. So are we looking up at like a catamaran type craft, or are these three independent objects traveling together? I don't know, but you can see the wafted plasma coming around more solid objects. I'm calling it. That's absolutely cloaking craft. Something also cloaking here beyond at C.1. And then here, left is the original, the right is the enhanced version. We've got two parallel lines, something that looks like a craft, maybe cloaking right in here. It's a little more, thick in nature. And then we have something heading down this way. So these are all very close in proximity to each other in altitude in the sky. So there's no way we'd have something going up at one angle and something else coming at an opposing angle unless there's some type of craft involved or artificial tech. This is supposed to be the moon, by the way, up above. All right, so here we go. I'm just enhancing it a little bit more. And here we get a red color signature here and here. Now, look at my description box below to see what could be generating, especially when we get to red-pink color signatures in the sky. Now, in this case, it looks like craft is generating this independently because look at nothing else is like that all around. And coincidentally, looks like a craft with like a vapor trail, coming behind it. And this looks very odd too, very suspect, like craft being cloaked. And back here as well, see what you think. And again, we got a white, yellow, golden here. But why is it so red over here? This is toward the east at sunset. That should not be the case. So there's a whole host of enigmas, things that are just very challenging, that we should look at to say what is going on with our skies. All right, so now I'm not going to spend too much time on this one other than that everything's kind of ragtag, very artificial looking. It's worth a look, with enhancement because we've got this weird activity happening below. Look here, we've got something coming on angle, coming straight down, doglegging back on another angle, and it's vertical. Then we have something here that's true horizontal that just would not happen in a natural cloud system. Then we have this weird thing kind of arcing over, this like strap-like thing, this hook. And then we have something coming up here too that looks very solid. So to me, those are pieces of a craft, like machine parts and things of that nature. Now, overall, all of this is pretty grainy and fuzzy. It was just getting late and my camera could only do so much. So we're going to move on. Now, this looks like a chemtrail trying to, be a red herring and take away from all of this activity here. So we have a darker imprint with a triangular form with rounded corners. Then we have an overall bigger triangular form happening here. There seems to be a lot going on. Again, it's choppy and fuzzy, while everything else in the foreground and in the background is, in focus. So that means this is called what I call staccato cloud effect, where it's choppy and fuzzy, meaning there's a bigger craft above or multiple craft in the area that are sending out magnetic wave activity or some kind of but some kind of frequencies to disturb the local air. And that helps cloak everything. And it also could just be a byproduct of whatever the power source is that generates on these things, and it chops it up. Or it could be a combination of both of those things, and that's what I think is happening. Now, again, we've got like a triangular point here. We've got a weird shape here. It looks cylindrical moving upward. Well, at the same time, there looks like a bigger triangular form in the background. Another triangular form up here, an imprint. See what you see in some of these scenes. Again, I'm regrettably going to have to fly through a little bit quicker than I like. So just take a look at this whole show on your own. And just for fun, you might want to just mute out my voice and see what you can find before you even hear me say anything. All right, here's a cloud, just standalone strange. And then you see, a ghosted imprint of a perfectly, symmetrical triangle there. Also triangular form happening in the background. And this is what we get, so there you go. I mean, it's just sitting right there, plain as day. We zoom in a little and see it again, and now we see there's almost like a dome on top of it, with a little bit of a reflection point at the top. It looks like it has like a trail. So I don't know if this thing flew in and then just sat on whatever this thing is, or if this whole thing is connected somehow. But, this looks like a more solid piece here. It's still perplexing. See what you see. Okay, now this is really interesting. This is all like a vertical motion, very low, in the sky, and then just either springing up or coming down. I can't tell. But look we've got a repeating pattern of this, I'm going to call rectangular craft, because look at the symmetry here. Look at this, I don't know what to call it. I just call it like a little tailpiece here. Okay, in the middle, of the base of this triangle. It's all symmetrical, right? Hard, sharp edges. Then we look up here. It's repeating the same thing too, because that little triangular piece in the middle is doing the same thing. And then over here, I suspect it's like a bigger version of what we're seeing. So all of these craft are like moving up, like holding on to the trunk of a tree or something. It's really crazy. Then we look to the right and we see all of these red, orange color signatures. That tells me absolutely there's craft within here generating that. Because how can you have that? All that color generation looking northwest at 4 in the afternoon. There's no sunset yet. And then everything else is deep blue and blue all around it, other than this is being independently charged up, so to speak. All right, now looking south-southwest, really odd. We've got this kind of trail coming in. A lot of strange stuff happening here above as well. We look to the right. I'm going to have to leave this one to you to kind of pull apart and maybe self-narrate because I do need to keep moving along. But up here we have like 2 wings, symmetrical form. That's some type of craft. This has some weird texture going on here. This thing is springing up out of this, perpendicular. So again, that can't happen with natural forces and cloud systems, natural cloud systems. And it looks like almost like this is plummeting down and punching through this cloud assembly, and then it's got a flat bottom to it. Another thing like whipping around here, and there's that little triangle that we looked at earlier. So see, and now it's in a different part of the sky, so that's interesting. So see what you think is going on. Then we're zooming in on that little feature where it had this weird, actually I'll go back one, see up here in the upper right. That's just so strange, whatever texture is going on there. I was trying to get at a little more what's going on. I didn't really, but maybe you'll see something. And up here, it looks again very symmetrical, this piece. Lots of weird stuff going on in that scene. Then we're going to come down here looking northwest. We've got a sharp edge here at the bottom. I mean a clean, straight line is what I want to say, an angle. We have something here, little parts and pieces. So we look to the right. We see them a little bit better. Now at 8.1, there's this burst of otherworldly light that starts to come in. It was seeping in. It was like cyan blue, and a little bit of white to it. Very otherworldly. And when that happens, I know there's some type of craft happening in there. And then we got these weird, lines happening, disturbances all over the place. So I'm going to say that's cloaking craft. See what you see? Then we get to this scene looking northwest. We have this thing with a round ball. Everything's kind of doing its own thing. So we look to the right at the enhanced version. We get an imprint of a triangle beyond. We get like this worm signature again, and then this thing is like ghosting in and out with circular forms at BB. We got darker forms. These are parallel to each other. Looks like they're traveling together like a, grouping of craft. This even has like kind of like a pyramid, not pyramid, but triangular top. To me, that's like a craft coming in and out of state, as is this one. You can see it's very ghost-like, but yet you see structure. See what you see in there. Okay, then, this is one of my favorites for the show. This is a standalone little cloud off by this beautiful, gorgeous rainbow eucalyptus tree. And, with enhancement, it's very clear. Look at these hard lines. These are some symmetrical wing-like forms, so I'm calling that a craft. And look at it's banking at such an angle that a normal cloud would not do. Then we go to this weird scene, looking east, and we got like choppy fuzziness again. I'm just going to hop over to the right-hand version. So we got a elongated triangular form with like a triangle cut within the triangle, and then this burst of energy, kind of doing its own thing. So what the heck is this? I haven't encountered this really before in all my shows. And we've got these round forms. I will say that's absolutely craft activity, though, cloaking craft activity. See what you see. Then we got like this pipe-like thing down here, kind of diving down this way. Could also be a standalone craft doing its own thing. See what you think. This one gets really weird looking west toward the evening. So we've got this cloud formation, this mass, which looks totally artificial. No natural clouds are frayed like this all at the edges. Then we've got like these, what do I want to say, these equidistant points of light, 1, 2, 3, 4, forming a grid. And then something here like windows too with light. And like a membrane, something happening dividing them. We have like a triangular form happening here. So much going on over here. So we look to the right, and I'm just trying to capture what's going on in this area, but I got more questions than answers on this one. This looks like it could be a craft. This looks like a machine part popping off of here, or it's a craft kind of landing on whatever this mass is. And we've got straight lines happening here. So this is absolutely not just your ordinary average cloud. So we're going to look at this area with some enhancement. We've got these weird like hole-like things. This looks like a craft springing, again, perpendicular out of this bar-like thing. This is very mysterious. But look over here, we got a straight edge, coming over with a straight line and a triangle down there. So there is no way that that is natural. Oh, hold on one second. Sorry, I'm back. Okay, so there's no way that this is natural. No way. That's a symmetrical, very cleanly designed object at play there. All right, now we're going to look at this little standalone cloud puff, if that were a cloud puff, but I don't see how you could call it that. It actually even looks like it has a little bit of a trail, coming in behind it, like it's moving in place here. It almost looks like a free form if you held just a gem, like a diamond. Cut diamond, at a point in the tops with the facets here. Looks very symmetrical, so I'm calling that a craft. Plus, we have activity up here that looks very much like cloak and craft. There's even like a circular piece here, so that looks like a machine part, that's kind of coming into view. Very interesting. I'm going to zoom in on it a little bit more just to kind of take a look. And then it almost looks like two parts. It looks like an eyebrow over an eye. But we've got like this little slight boomerang shape, over another one. Very interesting. Hang on one more second. My apologies. Okay, I'm back. So here we have, what caught my attention was this overall mass looks like a massive triangle. And again, that's not typical for clouds in this area, in this climate of subtropical to tropical Florida. And definitely not, it's not any kind of cloud you could point at a book in days of yore where we'd have, our cumulus cloud formations would never be in the form of this triangle with a very straight line at the bottom. So I thought, we might as well look at it with some enhancement, and we have a curved line almost like a fender over a wheel, and a slightly, maybe a circular opening or something happening here. Hard to say. What did catch my attention is the color signatures all over the place were very telling. Something's probably happening in there. But I couldn't get it too much more, so I'm not going to spend too much time on that one. I do want to look at this, however. I think you can see, without my explaining too much, why I might have taken this photo. So we have like this hole, and then we have these lines that, again, are parallel, and then like these grooves and tracks moving through this overall assembly. It's just so bizarre. Again, you can't have perpendicular movement to each other in a natural cloud system. And then look at this. So now that we look at this, it almost looks like a hole or a portal and something shot up out of it. See these fuzzy things look like craft to me, like in a certain state of cloaking. And so is this thing like just shooting out with this burst of energy? And what is this? Is this overall thing just one massive like weird portal system? Or are we looking at like the end of a craft and it's shooting out actually other craft? I don't know. Highly fascinating. See what you think is going on there. Then we have this scene, which we have straight edges at the bottom, triangular form, to the point that this is symmetrical on its side. Look at these little corners, the way they're shaped. It definitely has intelligent design to it. And then we have like a bigger triangular form here, something happening in here too. So we absolutely are looking at this with enhancement. And to my surprise, we get slightly different color signatures. This is much warmer, like in a brown taupe range, and this gets more gray, smoky gray, charcoal gray. So once again, I think it's clear that these are two different cloaking craft. This is one as well. This is symmetrical. This thing, this object. Look how straight this line is happening back in here. And again, we got other, anomalies happening all over the place to indicate there's cloaking craft going on. Then we're going to look at this scene. And what's always mysterious is when you have these really low, smoky gray-looking clouds, which, again, we've never had these in the past, unless it was like a rainstorm, which this clearly is not. And then right next to it, we've got this, wisp-like, more supernatural effect, which has more of a pink tone. So what the heck is going on between these two? Well, when we look at the overall scene, this becomes the alternate cover slide. And, pardon me if I have any of these stray extra, like, letters. Sometimes I just copy and paste, from slide to slide, and I don't get them all out. But anyway, this is a very different picture, very telling, when we put the enhancement on it. So look at this kind of object with a little trail happening behind it, a little rim, is popping up, so like a machine part. And what's going on here? We got these things moving in parallel. Are these like different craft, or is this all part of the same thing? It looks like there's a hole here. There's a burst of energy coming up out of here. What the heck are we looking at? Unfortunately, I just have more questions than answers on this one. But, this looks like something triangular, like moving out of here. This might be an object too, moving up out of here. I don't know if this is some kind of vortex or this is just a craft in and of itself. But again, look at the red-pink color signatures that I described in the description box below to see what could be going on. I absolutely think in this case that we've got craft generating all of this locally. All of those color signatures. This even looks like tracings in the top deck of some type of craft that's either phasing in or out of view. See what you see in this overall scene. All right, now this is very strange because this is popping up vertical, very low on the horizon. But then we have stuff moving horizontal, right next to it. And then we've got this strange line, all in the same proximity, but very different quote-unquote cloud types. Very odd. So we look at it with some enhancement. And again, this looks like the bottom, very clear to me that these are hulls of something, the bottom of the hull of a ship or something. And then, this looks triangular a bit, that a little bit triangular. So we're going to look at it with some more enhancement. Sure enough, these are definite shapes with curved, bottoms to them. Then we got a red signature here and gold here. So these, clearly aren't the exact same animal. They might, be independent objects. Then we're going to look at it with some different types of enhancement to take out the warm tones and turn them cool, just to see if we can see anything in a new way. And actually, I just see these, bright bits tell me those are machine parts popping out into, our view from whatever cloaking is going on there. Now, this one is really wild. I have not seen this ever, in all of my shows that I've been doing. Really bizarre phenomenon here. So you see the original to the left, and with just a little enhancement, it's like bam. So this looks like it's actually hovering above some other object, and that's a shadow of it. And this even looks like a shadow of this piece. So somehow there's an object with other things kind of like piggyback riding on them, I'd say, and this even looks like it's higher up than this down here. So to me, this is craft sitting on top of the deck of something. What is this little thing flying in? I don't think that's like a missile somebody's shooting at it. I think it's just some kind of companion or craft or maybe instrumentation. I don't know. See what you think is going on with the scene. But what really is wild is that how can you have pure white, next to pure gold and red, and then white again, and then we've got like this darker navy, like bigger circle thing, beyond. So what is going on with this scene? I can't tell you, but I can just tell you it's really fascinating. Now here's a slightly different view, and look at this. I can't even tell you what this is, but how do we have all these different colors, and then this one right next to it too? It's just, the whole thing is bizarre. Beautiful, but bizarre. All right, then we get this scene, which I just, took a picture because obviously we've got movement coming in this way, and then, this seems to be, this overall thing is like parallel to this one. So they seem like to be like two independent towers of stuff happening. So we look at it with some enhancement. It gets no clearer, just more confusing. But I do see like an almond shape or pointed elliptical object here, that darker gray with cloak in front of it. And then I see like triangular forms and other, other forms popping up all over the place. So I don't do this all the time, but I thought this one was worth doing some sketch overlays just to help you see a little bit better some of the shapes that I'm finding in there. Maybe you see them too. Maybe you see yet other shapes, the one I'm seeing, that's also possible. Because the way this is, the nature of this is, you might see, a triangle here, but the overall also might look more like a rhombus and things like that. Anyway, see what you see. All right, well, this is the photo of the day and the close of the show. I want to say thanks for taking a moment to enjoy some things here a while, just as this beautiful eastern gray squirrel is just taking a moment to have a little snack in Miami, Florida, with beautiful vegetation behind him in the background. So I just want to say thank you so much again for being here. I hope something piqued your interest or inspired you a bit, and if not, but at least I tried. So in the meantime, I wish you tremendous peace and love. Lavender Sky Panther, bye.